Good morning, guys. It is January 26th, 2021. Sorry, no, 2022. I'm a little tired. It's about 5 in the morning, and today we're going to be um, talking about. Today we're going to be talking about lineage again. We're in Genesis chapter 10, and Genesis chapter 10 is all about descendants and lineage. And remember, Noah was on the ark. God destroyed everything that was living that was not on the ark. So when Jesus talks about going to the ends of the earth, it began with Noah's sons. The first descendant line or lineage we're going to talk about is japheth, his son, Noah's son. And so we're in Genesis chapter 10, verse 1 through Genesis chapter 10, verse 4. So hang on. I know it's not the most, fun thing to talk about is lineage, but it's really important. And it's brought up many, many times in the Bible. And there's a reason, because what I believe is that we need to understand where people come from. And, if we didn't know the lineage of Seth, Adam and Eve's son, we wouldn't know where Noah came from. And if we didn't know Cain's descendants, we wouldn't understand where the wickedness kind of came from. So, hold on. We're going to hear some names. I'm going to butcher them. I say this every time we talk about lineage. I'm going to butcher them. But I'm going to try really, really hard to read them right. So, Genesis chapter 10, verse 1 is where I'm beginning. This is the account of the families of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the 3 sons of Noah, and many children were born of them after the great flood. Descendants of Japheth. The descendants of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Jan, Tubal, Mezakah, and Teres. The descendants of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Riptah, and Togarmath. The descendants of Javelin were Elisha, Tarjmarth, Kittim, and Redeemah. These descendants became seafaring peoples who spread out to various lands, each identified by its own language, clan, and national identity. The reason that this is so important is, if we think about it, it says it right here in verse 5. I did go to verse 5. I said verse 1 through 4, but I meant 5, sorry. They became seafaring people, which means they became fishermen. They became, they made boats and things like that. And if you think about it, I'm in the state of Maine. I grew up in Rhode Island. Two states that are very dependent on the ocean. For their economy, for food. I grew up eating fish. I grew up eating seafood. And there's a reason why. And this is one of the reasons why, is because God sent his sons, Japheth's sons, to places where they cultivated the ocean. Just as important as it is to cultivate the land, it's also important, and God gave us the ability to cultivate the ocean. We have to respect it, and we have to make sure that we're not eliminating species, but it's just as important. I mean, if we think about the New Testament, we think about the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus did many of his teachings. And at least four of his disciples, James, John, Simon Peter, and Andrew, all were fishermen. They all that was their trade. That was their job, was being fishermen. That's what their family did. And we see it right here of the importance. And this is why lineage is so important, is because we can see where thousands of years in the future, in this time frame, and even now, this, what we do came from then. So when we look at people's jobs and we look and we say, well, you know, they don't have an important job. No, they do. They do. If you think about the treacherousness that it is going out on the ocean, whether it's in the middle of the summer where it's really calm and beautiful, or it's in the middle of winter where it's choppy and cold and all of that. If we look at our tables, our food, that's where this comes from. It comes from fishermen who go out in the middle of winter on the freezing cold water and they fish for food. People who study ocean life and who go out and track all these different animals to make sure that they are repopulating and all that stuff. God gave us dominion over that. So this is why lineage is so important, because we see the positiveness of lineage, like the descendants of Seth, who ultimately ended up in Noah, who ultimately ended up in King David, who ultimately ended up in Jesus, who ultimately ended up in us. So that's the lineage. But we also see the negativeness of lineage, which is Cain's descendants, Ham's descendants. So we see both sides, and that's why I believe it's in the Bible, is that we need to see all. God does not hide any of this stuff from us. We may not understand everything, but he doesn't hide any of this stuff from us. So when we're looking at this lineage, I want to remind you again that to us it's important too. My grandparents were, you know, where my great grandparents came from, what nationalities I have, you know, the fact that I have brown hair and brown eyes, and, you know, the fact that I'm 5'4", you know, all this stuff. Where did that come from? You know, why am I so short? All of this comes from somewhere. And that's what Jesus is trying to show us. That is what God's trying to show us, is that it is important. And that's where he puts it in the Bible over and over and over again. So I know it's not the funnest thing to talk about, but it's the important things. It's part of the important things to talk about. So I want you today to think about your lineage. Think about the things that you're proud of, and think about the things that you're not so proud of. And think about how God can help you with all of that. How he can show you that all of this, and our most important lineage, is that we are his children. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day today. I hope you see Jesus in everything you do. And I hope you hang on tight for the next couple videos. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.